Alrighty, so this lecture is third year rotations, which to do, what to do, and how to build your CV. Like I said, I'm Alexandra Sappington, Director of Student Affairs, fourth year medical student at Alabama College of Osteopathic Medicine, just matched to LSU New Orleans for emergency medicine. Whoop whoop. And I will let Gordon introduce himself.
Yeah, thank you for that. I'm Gordon Calhoun. I'm a third year from the Idaho College of Osteopathic Medicine out in Idaho. I have not yet applied to any programs, but I'm in the midst of applying to a ton of VSLO rotations, so the fun never ends. But it's a pleasure to talk to you guys tonight. Hopefully you can learn something and feel free to leave any questions down in the chat for us.
This is the RSO board. If anyone is on, y'all can hop on and introduce yourselves. And like he said, we'll monitor the chat. They'll monitor the chat as they hop on. And we'll also do a Q&A at the very end. All right, Gordon, go ahead and take it away.
Cool. Well, to get started, guys, so I don't really know who's all here, if you're all first years or mostly second years, ideally, but for those listening later, this is going to be mainly towards current second years going into third year, what to do on your rotations, how to build your CV, etc. So, as most of you have probably already become aware of, we take boards at the end of second year, and that's going to be your COMLEX and potentially your step one as well. So we're going to skip right to that. So the goal, continue to do well in your classes. Try and work in as much board studying towards now into second semester that you can. Start kind of building your personal statement. Make sure your CV is being updated with the new research, new activities you're doing. Attend conference if you can, because honestly, the connections you make at conference just kind of propel anything you had going on without it. Total catalyst. So if you can attend conference, that's awesome. And then yeah, take boards here in May, June time and pass them. And then you're on to clinicals. That's what tonight will be all about. In fall, the fall time when you start clinical, so early of this fall, you should be starting to think about programs that you're kind of eyeing to go to for your auditions and your rotations the following year. But again, those don't open until February, March, April of, for you guys, 2025. So next year from now. You'll take boards immediately before your sub-Is, ideally. So for me, that's going to be end of June, and then July and August, I will do sub-Is. I don't know about when, Alex, you took your second round, but
Yeah, I did the exact same. I think well, my step two got postponed because the building burned down in Mobile, Alabama. So I think someone was angry with their exam and with the building on fire. So I had to delay mine by a little bit and take it the week before I started my sub-Is, which was a little bit more stressful. And so that was in July. And I took COMLEX in June.
and then into fourth year, you'll do, like we said, you'll do your auditions. It says fall. It's honestly summer, late summer, because you kind of want to get those done before the app opens in September. And then you interview October to January-ish, and you submit your rank list early February, and you match in March, which would have been last Friday, all of last week. So it's all kind of happening right now in real time.
Yeah, definitely don't let any of this stress you guys out. We're going to dive into the second year stuff, rising third years. This is just to show you what the future holds for you as
A
you.
very general timeline.
Yes. So some terms that you want to know, just in case you aren't aware of them already, because we're going to be throwing them around the whole time. VSLO, it used to be called VSAS. So some people will still call it VSAS, but it's the Visiting Student Learning Opportunities. That's the application service that you use to apply for your fourth year auditions. Some programs use Clinician Nexus. Some programs you just apply on their website. It just depends on the program. So you're going to have to stay keen on that and which ones you're looking at. Auditions, away rotations, sub-internship. Those are all interchangeable terms where you go on your fourth year rotations at the programs that you're interested in, and your ultimate goal is to get a SLO. SLO is a standardized letter of evaluation, and that's the most important part of your application for residency. Letter of intent is written to programs to secure your rotation or interview. So as you apply to your sub-Is next year, a lot of programs will say, hey, write us a letter of intent. And it just typically looks like why I'm interested in emergency medicine. Why do I want to go to your program? What led me to find you? You usually talk about family ties, pros and cons of a program that you found that you like, etc. ERAS is your electronic residency application service. You'll spend way too much time in here. This is how you apply to fourth year. Everything goes into there. It's a lot. Don't worry about it yet. And then attendings, preceptors versus interns and residents. Hopefully you guys know what those terms are. Pimping, when you get asked questions on the spot. I'm on ICU right now. Despite my better fourth year judgment, I'm getting pimped a lot. It's a great time. Rounds, what emergency medicine students, attendings, residents, we don't like to do. We don't like to round. We don't want to have to go around to see our patients, but it is part of medicine.
So as Alex was going over, the SLO is the most important part of your application that you could possibly have. But of course, there's different kinds of SLOs, which adds to the confusion. I'll preface this by saying if you ever really want to know, top to bottom what they look like, what they are, literally go to the court website /SLO and you'll see the definitions, and then you can actually pull up. They don't let you pull up the E-SLO, but they'll let you pull up an O-SLO, and it's essentially the same, and you can just look exactly what you're being evaluated on, and it's very standardized. But again, not quite the time to worry about that just yet. We just want to give you a basis of what these words that are very frequently tossed around, what they actually mean. So the E-SLO, or just commonly referred to as the SLO, that's your standard letter of evaluation, and that's from an EM residency program. That's the key word. It has to be an active residency program, and that's going to be during your audition rotation, aka sub-I, which is fourth year. Back 5 minutes. That's what I mentioned is July and August. So typically, the OSLO is an off-service SLO from any clinical rotation, any preceptor other than one of your official EM letters. So for me, I had an OSLO written by a general surgeon. Will it make any difference later on? Who knows? Because like I said, it's not as important as the E-SLO or the standard SLO. And then if you hit one more spacebar, Alex, I think we have this yeah, there it is. So bottom of the food chain, if you will, just the classic letter of recommendation. So this would be, you may run into this if you're doing research, things like that. Hey, can I write you a letter? But it's not your preceptor. So it's like, yeah, that's great. But those you may want to save typically just for rotations, using them for VSLO. Next year when you're towards the end of your third year, using those letter writers for that instead of your actual residency app, just because if it's not a SLO, it's not an E-SLO, it kind of has very little weight from what I understand. And Alex, you've just done this, you probably can speak a touch better on it.
No, you did a great job explaining it. He hit the nail on the head. The E-SLO is by far the most important one. You can upload 4 different letters of recommendation or SLOs into your ERAS. You only need 2 SLOs. And when I say you can upload 4 SLOs, the CORD guidelines, and CORD is the Council of Residency Directors in Emergency Medicine, their guidelines are 2 SLOs, because otherwise it kind of looks like you're taking away from other students, you're hogging rotations, and emergency medicine is a team sport. You want to share the fun. So pick the top 2 programs, maybe 3, extenuating circumstances. I couples match, so I did 3 auditions. You failed a round of boards, that might be a reason to go do an extra audition. But 2 is the guidelines. And those are the 2 letters of rec that most program directors look at only. So the other ones exist, but they are not nearly as weighted as heavily as the others. So core rotations, you guys are getting ready to go off to your rotations. Congratulations, you're done with preclinicals. You don't need to know the Krebs cycle anymore. It's going to be great. And typical core rotations at each school look a little bit different. Most have general surgery, pediatrics, internal medicine, emergency medicine, family medicine, OB-GYN, psychiatry, and some schools require neurology. Mine doesn't, but some do. Either your school will schedule them, you might have to find them yourself depending on the school. Maybe you have to go through VSLO for some of them. I was in a great situation with my school that we just got shipped off to a core site and we had all our rotations here. At the end of each of your core rotations, you have to take a shelf exam. The shelf exam is cumulative off those 4 weeks, just about the rotation that you were on. And you get either a numerical score or some places, I guess, high pass honors, that kind of stuff. We got a score at my school, but nothing is pass fail at mine. We rely all on grades, like letter grades and the numbers. So a lot of pressure on us always. And then you get a grade. It's usually some kind of combination between your rotation evaluations, your shelf exam score, different assignments that you have to do during the rotation. And again, the weight of that varies based off of your school. What assignments you have varies based off your school. My school has us do a OMM quiz every single block, some didactic assignments. Sometimes we have to do IPE assignments where we're expected to go talk to like nurse or pharmacy on the rotation and talk about that interaction. So the order of these, if you're at a school where you get to plan it yourself, is up to you. You might just be assigned. Pros and cons of different orders of rotations. So my fiance and I had an interesting situation where my family medicine rotation was my last rotation and his family medicine rotation was his first one. That is a lot of information to have to know. So family medicine and your internal medicines with the shelf, those are by far the most dense exams. I beat my fiance on the family medicine shelf exam, and that's the only exam I've ever beat him on in 4 years. And it was because I had it last and I had studied, it was leading into step. So you can kind of look at it in twofold. You take IM or FM first, and now you get to know everything and you look like a rock star on all of your rotations, or you save it for last as it bridges you into step 2 and you're already having to study everything for your shelf and it just kind of eases you in to going to take step. If you don't get to choose what order you're in, hey, you're going to make the best of it. Keep the Anki decks open. Keep flipping through your cards all year. That was something that I realized I should have done a little bit better. I had PEDS first, and PEDS is an interesting first rotation because it is a lot of information about the little ones. But when you're memorizing all those vaccine schedules and the milestones of the kids, and then it's been months since I even thought about that going into step 2, I had shut off my Anki cards for that rotation. Poor life choice, Alex. Poor life choice. It ends up becoming pretty overwhelming to keep up with all of them because there's so many cards that you have to open if you are an Anki person, but definitely keep them open. Definitely try to at least freshen up on everything a little bit as you go, just because some of it gets lost in the weeds over the months, but even still, you'll be okay, no matter what order it comes. Gordon, you have anything to add on that one?
No, I mean it's kind of giving me, anxiety, like, oh, I should have kept those decks open too. But that's, you do what you can. This is a busy year. Third year is a busy year. It's a great year. It's a fun year, but there's a lot of times when you're working 12, 13-hour days and you don't have time to even do two Anki cards. You're just like, I gotta be back here at 7 or 6 even tomorrow morning, and it's 8 p.m. now. So you do what you can, you make it up where you can, and I think you'll be okay. So
Absolutely. Even just trying to keep up with questions, whether that's on UWorld or TrueLearn, whatever it is, even if you could just set a goal of 5 questions